seen better times. I've heard better news. Got me feeling oh so blue. I felt a finer touch, and it all seems so much. Time and time again, feeling I just can't win. Oh, but one thing I know for sure, better will be soon. Oh, yeah. Things will get better. Just hold on, brighter. Things will get brighter. Just hold on. Lift up your head, yeah. See the sky. Oh, you too can win, yes, if you give it a try. Oh, set your mark, get yourself back into the fight, and believe me when I say everything will be alright. Things will get better. Just hold on, brighter. Things will get brighter. Just hold on. Just hold on. I know it seems hard.
All right. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome, 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 welcome. So welcome to tonight's virtual panel discussion in the Healing for Your Hurt Mental and Emotional Wellness Support Series, sponsored by In His Image Christian Ministries, where Bishop Melvin E. Blake and Pastor Cheryl D. Blake are the pastors of that ministry. I am your host, Alisha Glover, transformational coach, author, and independent artist devoted to supporting the mental and emotional wellness of all people. And we want to thank you for joining us for this hour of power. So, why a Healing for Your Hurt series? I'm glad you asked. So people from all walks of life, they experience and oftentimes they carry the weight of past hurts. That's just what it is. Hurts can include various types of loss. It could be death, it could be financial, it could be divorce. Hurts come in the form of offenses, rejection, abuse, etc. You name it. So hurts, they also bear the fruits of destructive thoughts and behaviors which devalue one's perception of life and rob them of the freedom and liberty that God initially intended for them to have. So this panel, we're here to support those seeking complete victory and the engagement in the full pursuit of what life has to offer in exchange for the struggle with past hurts and unforgiveness. Y'all with me? Somebody say yes.
Yes.
So tonight's seminar in the Healing for Your Hurt series, tonight's seminar is themed Reigniting Hope. And so what we want to do tonight is we want to till and we want to plant seeds of optimism among anyone holding on to or entertaining a hopeless mindset as a result of the underlying pains of life. Now, let me just say this. Some folks realize that they are dealing with or struggling with some underlying pains in life, and some folks just don't. So, but we want to start tilling up that ground. And what we want to do is we want to accomplish that by sparking a transformation that will bring clarity, direction, freedom, and a forever healing and a renewed mindset that will send you in pursuit of abundant living. So tonight, we want you, our viewers, to lead this discussion with a renewed sense of hope and a desire to seek the necessary assistance for starting or continuing, because some of y'all have probably already been in pursuit and probably been seeking a way to try to find your place of freedom, to try to find a place of breaking into a new area of life. So we want to support you in continuing your journey, and those who are looking to start, we want to support you in starting your journey to a renewed mindset and to get you toward healing, wholeness, and wellness. How's that? So with that being said, I'm going to introduce our dynamic panel for this evening. First on our panel, we have Pastor Staci, and she is one of the founding pastors of Restoration Outreach Community Center, and that is located in Capitol Heights, Maryland. You all give it up for Pastor Staci. And next we have Dr. Robert Evans, CEO of Empowerment Counseling and Training Services, located in Waldorf, Maryland. Y'all give it up for Dr. Evans. Now, what makes each of them so special to the achievement of this session's objective tonight is that they've chosen to devote their lives to kingdom building by seeking and promoting life transformation by the renewing of the mind and heart. So thank you for taking the time to share with us tonight. And let me just say this. These individuals on this panel, they weren't born as Pastor Staci and Dr. Evan. These individuals have been through, have gone through, have fought through, okay, have gone through the pressures, have moved forward, have kept trucking, have kept pushing when they were doubted, when they were lied to, when they were told that they couldn't, when they were told that they shouldn't, when they had feelings of I can't, when they had feelings of I don't know, when they have feelings of loss, when they experience loss, when all kinds of things have happened in life. So these individuals here are real life examples of what it looks like to go through and be on the other side of it, and as well be ready for the next challenge. Because let me tell y'all something, life's challenges, they will never stop. Okay, they will never stop. However, our journey and how we handle the situation before and how we're well prepared for the next one, that's going to determine how well we navigate through this thing called life. Y'all with me?
Man.
Absolutely.
So let's begin our conversation. All right, y'all with me, Dr. Evans and Pastor Staci?
Absolutely.
Okay, so life has been happening since the beginning of time. We know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all been through ups and downs. We've all been, throughout our lives. So we have people who are struggling financially, people who have lost family members, who are widowed, going through divorces, have gone through divorces, dealing with or have dealt with sexual trauma. They have been in or are in abusive relationships, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be mental. They suffering from health issues, fighting depression, harboring unforgiveness, struggling with the perception of not being good enough. Folk are dealing with addiction, all kinds of addictions, substance use. Folk are dealing with sexual addiction. Folk got shopping addictions. Folk have eating addictions. Folk have addictions of watching TV, you name it. People are struggling with addiction. Folk are dealing with unemployment, okay? And the list goes on. And this is all before COVID-19.
That's right.
Now, so let's keep piling life on, okay? So with the current state of the pandemic, there's been an increase and an influx of loss, grief, feelings of hopelessness. We hear on the news every day, we hear how folk are having problems trying to get a response in regards to unemployment, okay? Then to add, the African-American community itself has been heavily impacted by COVID-19 in that it suffered an extraordinary amount of illness and death. Now, let's top it off. The U.S. has been upended in light of the most recent attention turned toward the racial injustices against people of color. Y'all tired yet?
Right.
Y'all tired? That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. And when a person is already struggling to unpack their bags, okay, any traumatic event can trigger old thoughts and emotions that, if they're left unchecked, they often lead them to a whirlwind of unproductive behavior, right? Feelings of bitterness, feelings of helplessness, and even they can contribute to generational curses. Do y'all believe generational curses? It made me stutter. generational curses.
Mhm.
Those are real. And
Oh
they
yeah.
can feed those curses. So my question is to you, with all of that, what can a person do to cope and maintain a sense of normalcy while experiencing the new normal that life dishes out to them?
Mm,
Mhm.
man, can I start? Can y'all hear me?
Please
Yeah.
and thank you.
Uh, man, you know, I love the introduction to just the plight of America, especially the Black community in America, right? Just the way you described it was beautiful. And first off, when you said we want to really give people hope, that's what I have on my bracelet. You know, is Dr. E said there's always hope. That's my slogan, right? You know, I believe that once we lose hope, man, that's it.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to just paint a picture for you and for those people who are listening to give you just some fuel in your tank, right? So when you describe all of what you just said, I think about a track meet,
Wow.
right?
And
And
we
I
know
know
about that.
Stacy can kind of relate to this, right? I used to run track, and I know Stacy, she's a track star, right? You think about the track meet, you know, it's got lanes lined up, and the Black community is in one lane, right? Imagine if we about to start this race, but hold up, before you get started, let me beat up all your ankles.
Wow.
Mm.
Let me make sure that your legs are torn up. In fact, let me get you drunk. Let me just beat your body. When you got to run a race, you got to be in the best tip top shape of your life. You can't have no cramping going on, none of that. Right? So let's give you hamstring pulls on your hamstrings. And then we're gonna give everybody a head start on this 1800. They're gonna get 3 laps before you even get started. You're already beat up. But guess what? We started that race and we still were able to win.
Listen.
Not have hope when you had that kind of blood that's coursing through your body. And I'm talking about people that are descendants of slaves in America. If you are a descendant of slave in America, you have blood coursing through you that is unstoppable blood.
Mm-hmm.
You had to defy all of the odds to get to where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that you could think of that was done to hold us back, we were able to cut through all of that, and we still here today. I mean, if that don't give you hope, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That's determination.
What? The first thing we got to do is we got to be able to self-identify who we are.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
people don't know who they are. You must not know who you are.
Yeah.
You got to know who you are so that you can be able to say, you know what, I got what coursing through me. I can do anything.
Yes.
But Dr. Evans, let me ask you a question. When you say we have to know who we are, okay, so to the person who I'm trying to find my way out of my place of darkness. I am aware that I don't feel well every day. I'm aware that I have we like to call a monkey on our back, right? I'm aware that I don't feel good about myself every day. When you tell me I don't know who I am, what am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to, like, what does that mean to me? I mean, because I could take that as an insult, really. I do know who I am. I'm Alisha Glover.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to me?
Do you know what Alisha Glover is capable of?
That's a good question.
That's what we have to discover. We got to help you to discover what you're capable of. And I would never tell somebody you don't know who you are. I want to get you to discover who you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. One of the things I think is important to remember is that we are not, no man is an island, and we got to get through this together. One of my favorite singers, Nina Simone, said, if we as a people don't come together to transform this world, it will not be transformed. If we do not come together and know who we are in transforming it, it won't be transformed. And when she said that, it goes to your point, Dr. Evans, that we have to know that we are such a powerful group of people as a nation of African Americans who were not brought here by choice, brought here by force, but we are a force to be reckoned with. And even through all the things that we have gone through, like you said, we are winning, and we have to know that we are winning. We have to also know that the race isn't given to the swift or the strong, but to he who endureth to the end. So sometimes we want to win all in one day when God is trying to take us through a process to get to that victory. And in order to get to the victory using the process, we have to be able to accept who we are, with flaws in everything, and know that even in our flaws, that we are a great person. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we have a purpose on this life. And what it's going to take to get there. May be some bumps and some bruises along the way, but that's just the battles to get to the victory of the war. But sometimes what we do is we bring into we go get through one battle, and we bring the hurt and pain from that last battle to the next battle. We don't allow ourselves to heal. We don't allow ourselves to get through the process and take a minute to process, what did we learn from that last battle? What did we learn from that last experience? And then we also personalize it, and we associate with people who took us through the battle, or God allowed us to go through an experience, and we're so focused on the person that God allowed to bring it that we can't learn from the experience. And God is saying sometimes we have to know that don't be so focused on the people and what the people have done. I want you to learn from the experience that I'm taking to you. I want you to go to that next battle healed. And one thing I love about scars mean that there's a healing there. Because if it was open, it means it's a wound. So I'm going to take my battle scars, and I'm going to take the lessons that I learned through that battle, and I'm going to go to the next battle, and I'm going to be victorious in that because I'm taking the wisdom that I got from the last battle. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to heal and learn, so we limp and bleed into the next battle, and then we wonder why we're not victorious. Because, like you said, Dr. Rob, we go in broken, limping. We're not starting on equal footing. We're not going in with the right mindset, because how we perceive a situation will be how we receive the situation. Right. And then that will determine how we then either react to the situation, or we're going to respond to the situation. And those are two different things. And sometimes we have to take a minute to respond, because a reaction is an emotional, most of the time immature, exchange to a stimuli, versus a response is saying, let me sit back. Let me take a look at this thing. Let me evaluate. Let me assess. Let me pray about that thing, and then be able to then respond to that stimuli, so then I can go in with a whole new mindset. And sometimes I think we stumble our way through life and not taking the time to learn from our experiences, so that we can get those coping skills. Because sometimes we got to learn, what are we coping with? Am I coping from this, that, or that? And if I'm trying to cope with one thing, but my real issue is the second thing, then my coping skills ain't going to work.
And you make a good point. I like when you said, when we talk about perceptions, two words that you said emotions, and you said perceptions. And yes, it woke up something. So emotions are data. Emotions are not just something that we feel. Emotions are telling us something. And a lot of times we have certain types of perceptions based off of what we're feeling, if that makes sense, and what we learn, if that makes sense. And so for somebody who is looking to get out, a lot of times if we're looking to get out, we actually move in the direction of self-examination. And when I say that is, I feel this way all the time. Like, let me give you a prime example. I'll give you a real life example, y'all. So I went through a divorce, okay? And when I was going through my divorce, I remember in that particular situation, it was very exhausting in a sense of, it was mentally draining. I had feelings of very low self-esteem. I had suffered so much damage to where I masked my low self-esteem is what I did. I masked it. I was fooling everybody else. is what I was doing. And so when I shared the story, people say, "Oh, I never knew that," because I showed up on the outside a certain way, but I was miserable on the
Mhm.
inside. And my perception was I wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
Okay. But what I began to do, because I wanted a way out, and make no mistake about this, this is Alicia's experience. This may not be the next person's journey. Okay.
Right.
But I just want to illustrate what it looked like for me and what it could look like for any one of our viewers. And I began to self-examine. I felt a certain kind of way. Why do I feel this way? A whole lot of people are doing this. A whole lot of people are saying that. I want to be like this person. I want to be like that person. Dr. Evans, you said, at some point we need to begin to embrace who we really are, who God created us to be, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And one of the things I clung on to, and it was very hard for me, I use the words, I had to convince myself that I was okay with who I was. I was okay with how I looked. I was okay with, y'all know I'm a vocalist. I was okay with how I sounded. I was okay from being from Seattle, Washington, and not having a certain type of slang or dialect or the way that I spoke. I had to be okay with the fact that I was different. And it's a very uncomfortable place to walk in, but I made a conscious decision to say, you can no longer accept the fact that because clearly you're the only one who thinks that you're not. And I looked at my differences, and what I at one point believed and perceived that they weren't good enough. I
Mhm.
perceived that I was on the outside of a lot of things. And I made a choice to just give faith a try and say, try something different. I've been going through my entire life thinking this way about myself. I'm looking for something different. Let me try something different and give this thing a chance. So I made a decision, and Pastor Staci, that's their word. I made a decision,
Right.
try something different. And when I did that, it's helpful to have a network. It's helpful to have a
Absolutely.
network of individuals around you who will not only hold you accountable, because sometimes it hurts, but you need that because this is called
Mhm.
growth. Okay, and it hurts when we grow. To have a network, and also a network to hold you accountable, and those that would encourage you and support you in the things that you believed or you perceived to be not okay. And when I was in that space, when I was doing that, I began to grow into and understand and accept and recognize and celebrate who I was.
It's funny, that word decision, we always talk about that word decision. And so Walter Cannon actually was the first to coin the phrase the flight or fight. Sorry. And basically it is a physiological response to what we consider stress, a threat, danger. And it's a whole lot, to make a long story short, because I don't want to go into all the jargon and the psychological things that happen, but the physiological changes that goes, like, the blood rushing to your muscles and all of that happens whether you decide to fight or flight. The physical part of you does what is prepared to do whatever you decide to do. You get what I'm saying? So you are equipped and you are ready to do what it is that is necessary, whether you want to stand and fight to be victorious, or you want to run from your issue. Your body, and you're already equipped to do whichever you decide to do. What's important is that we have to have a mind and a spirit that is so steadfast to say, I'm going to make the decision to fight. Because in order to get there, everybody has their own journeys to get there. I can't say
What did she ask?
one, two. I'm sorry.
What was the question?
She said, how do you get there?
How do I get to the place to where where I decide to fight?
Well, you was about to say something, Doc?
I said, after you finish, I'll go.
Okay. So we once we get to we can make a decision that we either going to continue to run and hide. And one thing I learned about God, you can run, but you can't hide. And as you run, whatever road you run on, he has a way of maneuvering that road to take you right back to where it is that he wants you to be in the first place. So you lose a lot of wind and a lot of energy, but he's going to bring you back to where he wants you to be. Amen. Especially when you are called according to his purpose, because all things work together for your good. And what he wants us to do is he wants us to get to our victory. So he's not going to allow us to keep running from him. And eventually he's going to bring us back to where we need to be. So we're going to have to make a decision to fight. And I'll let Doc, to talk about how we get to the place where we decide to fight, because that's where he wanted to jump in. But once we get to that decision that that we want to fight, once we get there, one thing I love about God is he has already equipped you and he gives you the tools. I have a family full of military people, and they, when they get dressed and ready for battle, the Lord gives us the same thing in the kingdom. And I'm just going to run through like their headgear. We get the helmet of salvation. They have their vest, their things, the bulletproof vest. Well, we have the breastplate of righteousness. They have their boots, but we have the feet, in preparation, shod with the preparation of the gospel. We are equipped for the fight. We just have to decide we want to fight. And God is saying, you can't avoid the fight, but he can guarantee you the victory if you at least go through the process of the fight. We can't keep running from what it is that he has called us to do. We can't keep running from the growth and the maturity of the process that comes from the battle. The battle, life is going to happen. The battle is going to come whether you're ready for it or not. God is saying, I want you to make a decision to fight, because when you make that decision to fight, your body is already equipped for it. Your spirit, God has given you what you need in your spirit for it. You just got to have the mindset. And when you're ready to fight, what you do, you get your people around you who are ready to go to battle with you. Especially when you got a group of imps around you that's trying to come against you, you're going to get your battle warriors who going to be with you. You can't do this by yourself. And you always go to the top general. You go to God for your instruction and your direction. But we have to make the decision that my life is worth fighting for. My purpose is worth fighting for. My family is worth fighting for. Because once we say that we want our children to have better than us. We keep saying that we want all these things from our life, but we're not willing to go through the process to get it. And guess what? The battle is going to come. The thing is, we have to make sure that when we go through our battles, we don't use that as a reason to have fear or to have anger or malice or unforgiveness. We have to focus more on the experience and what it is that the Lord is trying to give us and teach us, more so than the person who came against us. Because as if we continue to stop at that space of the experience, we never move on past to get to the victory. And so we have to continue to say, I'm going to fight past this low self-esteem. I'm going to fight past this depression. I'm going to fight past this because I am victorious, and I'm going to use what it is that I have. The thing is, we have to decide to use the tools of our warfare.
And Pastor Staci, I know you in a row. I want to hear what Dr. Evans has to say about that decision. But you said something very key, and I'm gonna flip it to you, Dr. Evans, where you say you have to make the decision, and when you say I have to fight, I'm going to fight past the low self-esteem. In that space, when I said I have to fight, in that space, I have made a decision to make my way out. That is the space. When you have that sometimes we say when we sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's the space. That's the space where the flame is ignited, if that makes sense. That's the shift. Dr. Evans.
Right.
That's it. Dr. Evans.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to touch on. Staci, was talking earlier about the process. I'll come back to that. I want to talk about when you were talking about that space, that thing that gets you moving. In 2019, my word, every year I come up with a different word that I focus on. 2019 was intentional, right? Mm-hmm. Intentionality was the thing that I was helping the clients to work through to be intentional about what it is that you want. But when you were talking about how you got to the place where you pulled yourself out of where you were, you had to first identify a desire.
Yes.
Right? So, and that is what people need to first do, because some people haven't identified what they want for themselves. Mm-hmm. Some people are actually satisfied being uncomfortable, but they have to really have a burning desire to achieve something greater, right? So the equation is this. I came up with an equation to fit this, right? Self-awareness plus desire equals intentionality. What is that, right? First, we got to be self-aware. We got to be aware of all the things that we're facing that's holding us back, all of the trials and tribulations, all of our emotions and all the stuff that goes into where we are and how we got to be here. We got to know all that about us, right? But then we got to identify the desire. What do we want?
Right.
Because we can know where we are, but do we want better?
Right.
Then we have to be intentional about achieving it. There's two things that hold us and stop us from being intentional: emotions and distorted thinking, right? Just think about the last time you wanted to do something for somebody and then they irritated you, got up under your skin, and you said, whatever, I ain't gonna do that, right? Okay, yeah, your birthday out the window now, right? We allowed our emotions to get in the way instead of doing what we really wanted to do. We got to be intentional despite those things that get in the way. But the distorted thinking often, it blocks us. It gets in the way. As soon as we say, oh, we want to get out of what, because every time you say you want to do something different, something is going to get in the way of that. Either you're going to manifest it internally, or the universe is going to say, nah, I don't think you really want that. It's going to test you every single time. And the distorted thinking is what blocks us from pushing through. We got to be aware that it's going to happen. We got to be aware of the emotions and the things that we're going to think that we're going to sell ourselves short. Man, you're not going to be able to do that. It's going to cost money to do that. I'm going to need too much help to do that. I can't do that. I've been in this condition for so long. All these things that pop up in our head, we got to cut through that and still be intentional about what it is that we want, right? The other thing was the process. And Staci was really, really hitting on that thing. I mean, hitting it. People don't trust the process. And a lot of it is social. I mean, we're socialized to think that we can take a pill or push a button and get a result.
Instant results.
Now nobody wants to go through anything.
Right.
Everybody wants to just be able to touch. Look, Alexa, can you go ahead and the car parks itself. The car parks itself. You seen this?
Yep.
Cars park themselves. You can say, yeah, car, look here, man. I had too much to drink. Park yourself. It's easy. We don't trust the process. We don't understand that the process, like Staci was saying, the process is for our growth.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people duck the process because the process is associated with some level of pain.
Yes, absolutely.
The process is always associated with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
But is where you grow.
Yes.
You grow when you're uncomfortable because you got to do something different to get comfortable again, right? Being uncomfortable is a part of the process. So we got to understand that. Then we can embrace it and we can say, okay, well, this pain is only going to be temporary.
Yep.
Then once I continue to push, I'm going to get through that and I'm going to get over the pain, right? And so that is the thing that people got to understand. It comes along with it. Anything great is going to come along with a process. You can't name one beautiful thing on this earth that did not have a process to come with it. Diamonds, babies, birth, I mean, anything.
Yes.
Butterfly intentionally go say, I'm going to go ahead and chill out, go in this cocoon real quick.
They get squoze for a season.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go ahead.
But you know, Dr. Evans, and both of you all hit it on the nose, because I like to tell a lot of people, and I will go back to the example I gave before. The lesson is in the journey. The lesson is in that process. I'm gonna tell y'all something, and I'm being very, very candid when I say this. When I went through that particular season, I mean, nobody gets married to get divorced, right? I mean, I don't know anybody. I don't know any serial wives or husbands out there. If that's your thing, you know, we'll be available after the call. But when I say that, it was so jarring to me. I mean, I like a deer in headlights. I was like, what do I do? Okay. Then I dealt with embarrassment. I dealt with feelings of failure. I went through foreclosures a couple times. I went through bankruptcies a couple times. So my finances were rocked in that. I will honestly say this. going through that process, when I was in it, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. This is all bad. But I will tell anybody that season of my life was the absolute best season in my life. And the reason why, I'm not saying somebody go out here and have some, don't create a traumatic event just to, if you go out here creating a traumatic event just so you can get some growth spurt, hats off to you. Because nobody would ask for something like this. But in that process, I got my first certification. Actually, I got 2 certifications for coaching. I ended up getting a graduate certificate. Okay. I started accepting and realizing who I was in Christ. Okay. I started appreciating and loving on and actually discovering who I was in Christ, and then who Alisha was. A business came out of that. A brand came out of that. Freedom to speak certain things. Courage came out of that. And all of that came out of that season because of a decision I made to not quit. I didn't realize that I was not wired to quit until I realized that I was not wired to quit. And another thing that another motivator, I will say this, is most people know I'm 3,000 miles away from home. So for me, if I bag it up, I gotta go home. I wasn't going back. I wasn't going. So, I because of my determination, I had to make it work, because all these other things I was going to make all these other adjustments if it did not work. But when I tell you, I learned so much about myself, and I learned what it was to develop a passion and a heart for people because of my feelings of low self-esteem and my feelings of not being okay with who I was. My heart, honestly, I would do anything for anybody. However, my heart truly did not really soften up for the well-being of people until I went through my own experience and I chose to embrace it. I remember saying, Jesus, you clearly are going to have to take the wheel. I'm going to have to strap on my seatbelt and I'm going to ride the process through. Yeah. I could not do anything about what I thought I knew. And I remember sitting on the side of the bed one night and being like, Alisha, you've been over here for 20 something years and you've been running it. At the end of the day, it's not working for you. So you're going to have to forget everything that you thought that you knew. And you're going to have to put your faith in God. And you're going to have to try this thing that you've never tried before, because you are tired. You are sick and tired of trying to do it the way that you thought you knew how to do it. Now you need to try it God's way. And that is what I did.
That's when you start. That's when you start to trust the process, when you surrender.
Absolutely.
When you surrender,
Exactly.
you say, you know what, man, I don't have no way out of this but God. That's when you start to understand that the process works, because you get out of it. You're like, dang, okay, that's how it works.
That's all I had to do. That's
right.
I wasted all the time.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about God is he will use what we can perceive to be a very difficult situation and use that thing to bring us even closer to him. He will use that opportunity to put spotlights on our lives of places that he wants us to see and that he wants to mold and shape. And he will use all of that to bring us back around to him, because you had to go through that process to know sometimes we have to realize that we're not as perfect as we think we are. We're not as powerful as we think we are. We're not as whatever as we think we are, because God will start to give us humbling experiences to know, guess what? No, I still need to work on that self-esteem. I still need to work on that pride. I still need to work on this. I still need to work on that, because I have a place that I need for you to go. I have a ministry, a purpose for you. And in order for you to get there and to be effective, I got to deal with all these little blind spots that you have. And in order to show you your blind spots, I have to put you in positions that will put a spotlight on those blind spots to help you to see. Because sometimes we're so blinded, he will use those situations to take the scales off our eyes that we may see, so we can stop seeing through our eyes and start seeing through God's eyes. Amen.
Amen.
I love your story though, because what I got from your story is resiliency. That's my favorite word in the dictionary, man. That is the ingredient that most people that we all need, but a lot of people don't realize they have it.
Yes. Yeah.
are struggling to try to get through and to try to pull themselves out the mud, they don't understand how resilient they are.
Yes.
All they got to do is look back and see where they came from, and then they still here. You haven't jumped off a bridge, you haven't taken a whole bunch of pills, and you left this world, you still here. You have resiliency coursing through.
Right. And even if you were in the position where you drank a little too much and took those pills, you're still here. And you have an opportunity to do what, and God will use all those experiences, all those stumblings. A just man falls 7 times, which means if he had to fall 7 times, that means he had to get back up again to be able to fall back down again. So we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to do the right thing, then do the wrong thing. But all of those experiences help us to get us to the place where God wants us to be, so that we can be effective in our purpose in our ministry. And I had the pleasure of actually being under the supervision of Dr. Rob. And so I can speak to some of the experiences that he was able to share with me while I was under his supervision. He would not be the awesome teacher and mentor and clinical supervisor that he is if he had not experienced some of those things that he went through. And I'm sure, for somebody looking on the outside, they probably was like, how'd you make it? How'd you get through that with your sanity? But he had to get through it because the Staci Burroughs were coming down the line. All those people that he had to talk to were coming down the line that had to be able to glean from those experiences. So we have to perceive our experiences, whether we see them, whether they are comfortable, as Dr. Rob said, comfortable or uncomfortable. We have to perceive them as an opportunity to be strengthened and empowered so that we can be effective in our ministries. It's not about us. It's about our purpose and our ministry. And when we begin to perceive things differently, then we will receive them differently, and then we will respond to them differently. And that will affect how we deal with not only the opportunity, but then with the people who are associated with that opportunity. So thank you, Dr. Rob, for going through your process so that I can be who I am clinically.
Oh man, it was my pleasure to get beat up for you.
Hey, but let me tell y'all something. That look, this will preach too, because again, our trials, what we perceive in the moment, our traumas, our unfortunate situations, our periods and times of loss, those are necessary for somebody else's recovery. And again, and for those of us, especially who are actually looking, all of us, I would love to believe, and I choose to believe, that all of us are looking to get closer to God in some way, form, or fashion. One thing that we have to remember, and this is for anybody, all of our viewers, you trying to get healed, please understand this, that the enemy knows more about you than you do. Number one, okay? Dr. Rob talked earlier about some of that self-talk and that negative self-talk, saying, you can't do that. That is a trick of the enemy. Please understand that. Understand that when this is, and Pastor Staci, we talked about this the other day. I look at life like a game of chess. You got your dark side and you got your light side, right? Whose side are you on? And every move that each side makes is strategic. It is like a game of chess. And I just use that as a metaphor, but understand this, the weapons are not carnal. We have to remember that. So this is some real life business. This ain't no, my neighbor has has luck. Sorry, I don't buy luck. I just don't. I don't get into that. Everything happens because God allows it and is orchestrated by something in the spiritual realm. Our job is to make sure that we are responding appropriately. That's our job, is to respond appropriately and to navigate through this, because we have a responsibility to the lost souls here on earth. And so our trauma, a lot of times, it is necessary for somebody else's recovery. You just think about this. If 150,000 people are able to navigate through their traumatic season, how many more people are we able to go back and get and bring to the light side? And you look at the game, look at your chessboard. How many more people are we able to go back? And how much larger can we build that team? So this is very, very strategic. However, I didn't get that. I didn't take on that mindset right away. It took me a minute to get there. But if you are in a place of being like, listen, I want better, and you don't even have to have a thing of, I have this I have this spiritual destination, because everybody's not there. I mean, let's keep it practical. Let's keep this practical and keep it real. Everybody may not necessarily be in that place. You may just be like, I want out. I want out. What do we have to say for that person that wants out? Dr. Evans, question for you. With everything that we talked about COVID, we talked about issues that we have going on before COVID came. I myself have suffered an extremely large amount of loss in the last 3 months. I mean, I have a person in my life who just took a blow today. So what do we say to the people that already have their bags that they're trying to unpack, and then we get hit with COVID and the racial injustices and the climate of today? What about the African American male? And not only that, what about the African American male who's trying to lead his family? What about the father? What about the father with the family, or the single father? What do we have to say? And I just want to let you know we're winding down on time. We have about 9 minutes left, so we want to give us the best way that you can and pack it.
Well, you narrowed it down to the African American male who's also a leader, who's also a family man. So we want to just focus on that group. Because that I signify, I represent that group, and I think it is very, very tough for those men, because all of them they want to represent strength, right? They want to represent Superman. They want to represent, I got y'all. They want to represent, I'm the leader and you can follow me. But when you got somebody like me, and those guys, a lot of them are probably going to be like me, entrepreneurs. We're self-employed, we're business owners. So that's another layer of pressure, because I go out here and fall. That means all the dominoes fall, right? So, I think that for me, it's about encouraging brothers. One, we got to redefine what manhood is, because we have gotten to this place where we believe that manhood means that we have to do everything all by ourselves, right? That is absolutely false. We have to be able to, one, utilize our resources, but if we're family men and we got a queen, we got to be able to partner with our queen, right? We got to be able to partner with those people that are in our lives for a purpose. Nobody does anything and sustains it by themselves. We have to understand how to utilize our resources, but we also have to understand how to keep ourselves healthy. This quarantine, everything has caused a lot of people to just go inside themselves and forget about health. They've forgotten to take care of themselves. I have seen a whole lot of people, a lot of black people out here running and biking and all that stuff like never before. But then there's a lot of people who are feeling a lot of pressure, and they're not going outside. All they want to do is get rest. We cannot forget to take care of ourselves. We have to be able to be strong first for ourselves before we can be strong for anybody else. And something that you said earlier was that you put on a mask. We have to understand as men that it's okay to be real.
Yeah.
It's okay to be vulnerable, especially to those people that we care about and that we love. They can see that sometimes we're not Superman. Sometimes we feel pain too. Sometimes we feel pressure, and that's okay, because we got to show people how to be able to move through these trying times in a healthy way without blowing up on our family, without taking it out on our family, right? It's unfair to go to work and fight the world, then come home and fight our family too. We have to have healthy ways to have outlets. If you need to have somebody to talk to, a counselor, therapist, I highly recommend therapy. It is an awesome outlet. A bunch of men have come out and they find it to be very extremely helpful. But utilize your resources. Do not try to contain everything inside, because it's going to eat you from the inside. Have to have the proper outlets and manage your health. Take care of your health, nutrition, exercise, all of that matters, right? So, I think that, again, the bottom line is understand what it means to be a man, right? It doesn't mean that you're doing everything by yourself. It means that you are effectively using your resources.
There you go.
No matter if you getting help from somebody else, you still got your feet with you. You're still on your own 2 feet, right? So, I think that's in a nutshell. That's what I have to say to that.
That's good. That's good. Pastor Staci, question for you. What about the person who is on a journey, or what about the person who has already journeyed through a season of significant loss and then they face COVID-19 and they have loved ones, or they face another, major type of loss or hurt or painful event that looks like it's worse than the one before. What can we share with that individual? What can we share with the mother who has recently lost a child, or who has received a diagnosis for a child that in our eyes is seemingly detrimental, or the individual who has lost a parent or a loved one? Tell me in 90 seconds, tell me, what do we have to offer that person, the person who's seen it before, but is seeing it again, and this time it looks like it's greater?
Well, one thing, God is always greater than anything you can experience. That's the bottom line. If I can't get anything else, then God is greater. But he also uses people to support us. And we have to, as Dr. Rob said, we got to make sure that we reach out and establish our network, our team of support, because no man is an island, and we can't get, we don't have to go through this alone. And sometimes we feel like we got to do everything by ourselves, for ourselves, with ourselves. And that will weigh you down. And so we have to establish a network of support that will be able to get us through, even if it's just a prayer, a hug, a shared experience, because sometimes that means more than anything. I think, so if I had to wrap it up in 90 seconds, God first, and then find a support system that will help you navigate through that cycle of grief in that process, and know that your process is not like anybody else's, and that you have to be able to walk the journey at your own pace, in your own way, and don't allow anybody to force you to do it the way they want to. You and God walk through it together, and then he will put people in your path to help you along the way.
Thank you for that. And God shows up in so many ways. If anyone has questions, please feel free to drop them in the live feed. God shows up through people. He puts people in our lives, people in our path. Doctors, counselors, therapists. They just didn't come out the air. The Bible says that God made everything and it was good.
Yes.
So it's okay to utilize our resources, our people. Dealing with somebody who that may be okay. Dealing with a stranger who has a neutral perspective, that may be okay. Going to somebody who's trained and who can work through some types of issues, that might be what the next individual needs. But I would love to be able to pull together what both of you have offered us. Is one thing that I've heard consistently is utilize the resources. Utilize the resources, understand and know what is made available to you. And here's another thing: if you don't know, that's okay. But I guarantee you know somebody, or you have somebody you're connected to, or someone in your circle, or somebody that knows somebody that can refer you to a resource to get the help that you need. Our goal tonight is to get you to a place. Again, this is about reigniting hope. So the thing is, we're looking to be healed in our areas of hurt. And if it starts by reaching out and saying, hey, I need to get to somebody, or I need to talk to somebody. A lot of us have a problem with trust. We have a problem with trusting people. That's just what it is, especially when we feel like we've been hurt by so many people, So like Dr. Evans said, we have to be able to experience, or be able to try and to take the risk of being vulnerable. The only person that's not going to let you down is God.
Amen.
The only person that's not going to let you down.
Because he's the only one who's not perfect. He's the only one who's perfect. People are going to let you down because guess what? They're not perfect. They're fallible. They're going to make mistakes. And so we have to understand that when you're dealing with a human, you're going to deal with somebody who's going to make a mistake. And sometimes you may be affected by that mistake and you may not, but you have to every time look at them through the eyes of love, and knowing that even though you made a mistake, I'm seeing past your fault and I'm seeing your need. And I may have to make the adjustment in how I deal with you, because we have to be wise, but I cannot assign a sinful perception to you, because you are being who you are. You are human. We do what we know, we say what we know, and we are who we are. And that comes with baggage and hurt and filters that our experience through life has brought us. And sometimes that means we may affect other people in our journey. Everybody on this panel has hurt somebody at one point, and we've been hurt by people. But don't we want the same grace, that God has given them? Then we got to give that same grace to somebody else, and know that even if they never apologize, I still have to forgive you, because I have to be able to move on from you to move on to my next space.
One last thing I wanted to add real quick.
Absolutely.
Who are trying to figure out what to do during these times where it keeps piling on. Like you said, the waves keep crashing. Be very mindful of how you grieve right now, right? Pay close attention to that, because you're really in preparation for the next time you have to grieve, because it is going to come
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Grief is
Right.
the life process. Trauma and all of the things that come along, pain, everything is a part of life. So how we handle it now, we are conditioning ourselves for how we're going to handle it again. So if we learn how to handle it now, we'll be able to handle it better the next time.
Yes.
So pay close attention, take notes, talk to the right people, don't hold it in, be mindful of how you're processing your grief. If you try to bury the pain, it's going to get infected and it's going to come out bad. You cannot bury the pain, you have to run towards it. Period.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And professional help is there for a reason. Different traumas, they may require different levels of therapy. And when I say therapy, I don't necessarily mean you lying on somebody's couch, but again, certain types of traumas require, the approach needs to be different for certain types of trauma. It is okay to seek, and it is okay to get help from a person who is knowledgeable and who is trained. Listen, this is why we have counselors, coaches, mentors. Okay. This is why we have these individuals. They're here to help. They're not here to judge. They're here to help. So with that, we are going to wrap it up. It seems like an hour was not long enough. Oh my goodness. Look, we may have to do this again, y'all. Sorry. This was good. This was good. Can we do this again? But we'll talk offline. We talk offline. Just don't go anywhere. So before we go, if anyone has any questions that they want to reach out to Pastor Staci or Dr. Evans, you can reach Pastor Staci at PastorStaci. That's Pastor Staci at the TheROCC outreach.com. Again, it's Pastor Staci, Staci at the ROCC outreach.com. You're looking to reach Dr. Evans, you can reach him at admin@empowertoday.net. And his website is www.empowertoday.net. Anybody want to reach myself, I can be reached at Full Pursuit Coach. That's FULLPURSUITCOACH, Full Pursuit Coach @gmail.com. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, man and woman of God, for lending your time, volunteering your time and your knowledge, and your advice. And I certainly hope, this is my first time actually meeting and spending time with Dr. Evans. This will not be the end. I will more than likely be following behind Pastor Staci. So get ready, because you have another one coming. So we want to leave you with, so I promised some folks that there will be a sneak preview to some new music. And if our guy Tyrone has it queued up, this song is called, it was inspired actually by the season that we are currently facing. The song is called Better. And it simply says that things will get better, your days will be brighter if you just hold on. So ladies and gentlemen, we hope to see you in the very near future. We hope that you enjoy this. Tune in to In His Image Christian Ministries on tomorrow, Wednesday, for Bible study at 7:30, and again on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. for our Sunday worship service on the In His Image Christian Ministry Facebook page, and iHicM, IHICM TV, and that is on YouTube. We hope to see you very, very soon. Thank you so much, and we hope to do this again. Thanks again, Pastor Staci and Dr.
Thank
Evans.
you.
All right.
Thank
And we'll
you.
go out on better. Thank you so much.
I've seen better days, and I've seen better times. I've heard better news. Got me feeling oh so blue. I felt a finer touch, and it all seems so much. Time and time again, feeling I just can't win. Oh, but one thing I know for sure. Better will be soon. Oh, yeah. Things will get better if you just hold on. Brighter. Things will get brighter if you just hold on. Lift up your head, yeah. See the sky. Oh, you too can win, yes, if you give it a try. Oh, set your mind, yourself back into the fight, and believe me when I say everything will be alright. Things will get better. Just hold on. Brighter. Things will get brighter. Just hold on. Just hold on. I know it seems hard. Things will get better. And things seem tough. Just hold on. But just know that this is just a chapter. It's not your whole story.